What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fann of showmefootball.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. He's Michael D'Arcy of KC Sports Report. We're going to talk some Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver stuff right after this. Ladies and gentlemen of the Chiefs Kingdom, welcome back into another video on my channel. Guys, OTAs is going on right now for the Kansas City Chiefs, and a player that is turning heads at OTAs is Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice, who got an article written about him by Ed Easton of Chiefs WR, stating Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice is turning heads at OTAs after last season's injury, and he included quotes from Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy saying he's looked good. He's come back strong. He's been working hard to get to this point, said Nagy. It reminds me of last year where he was going into this part of the year where the second year he just looks like, even with Xavier right now, you can tell he knows where he's going. So those guys are looking sharp. Now, it should be really no surprise, Michael, that Rashee Rice is receiving high praise. I think before the injury last year, he was looking to have an all-pro, top 5 wide receiver type of season. I mean, he was top 5 in receiving yards all the way up until that injury, and it just feels like we got robbed of a very special season from him. And I know there's some concern with that PCL injury, what he's going to look like, because there's been a few other players who have gotten that kind of somewhat rare PCL injury as opposed to an ACL. I know Javonte Williams, the running back for the Denver Broncos, he tore his PCL after his rookie season and never quite looked the same again. So the hope is that Rashee Rice and his recovery has gone well to this point so that we do get to see what he looks like again. But it seems like everyone in that building is positive about where he's at. Matt Nagy has had high praise for him. And I just think that, so many times when you ask these coaches, who's standing out, usually they go right to a newcomer. But they went to Rashee Rice. And I think that does tell you a little bit that this isn't just coach speak necessarily, that Rashee Rice genuinely looks good coming back from that injury. But Michael, what are your thoughts on how Rashee Rice has looked so far throughout OTAs, and what should kind of be the expectations for him coming off that devastating knee injury from last year?
I feel like the expectations really shouldn't change after last season. I mean, I guess the expectation should be to play a full season, if possible, which in that wide receiver room, with Hollywood Brown, he's going to miss some time. Juju might miss some time. Just he gets banged up all the time. So, the Chiefs wide receiver room has a lot of guys in it, and a couple of them are not guarantees to play a full 17-game season. The hope is that Rashee Rice can, finish out an entire season like his rookie year. And honestly, I'm very excited because I think that you saw not only in, the very limited OTA practice, he's cutting, he's jumping, he's able to perform in the drills. And that's something that, I wasn't really expecting to see less than a calendar year, after tearing, or I guess he tore his PCL.
Yes.
But that's an injury that, we can't just assume that he's going to snap back to normal. But the fact that he is looking good and he's able to, cut and not have a brace on that knee, Josh, that's great.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were expecting Rashee to maybe be on that PUP list heading into training camp, but the fact that you mentioned, he's already cutting, jumping, looks good in the wide receiver drills, he's moving well. I think that pretty much tells you he's going to be a full go for training camp, and that is incredible progress considering what you said. Less than 12 months ago, Mahomes dove into his knee and ended his season.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that that's how it happened, but that's exactly. And you know who intercepted Patrick Mahomes on that play, Josh?
Christian Fulton, the new Kansas City Chief.
Yeah, it all comes full circle. That's crazy, but I think Rashee Rice is definitely going to have a really good 2025 season. This is a guy that like you said before he got injured in week 4, was a top 5 wide receiver in the game. He had some of the best stats that we've seen from a Chiefs wide receiver since Tyreek Hill in the first 4 or 5 games.
Yes.
We were really excited to see him develop and take that next step. And I think that, yeah, he had to take a step back with the injury. But Josh, I think as long as he is healthy, it's full speed ahead. He is going to be dynamic in this offense. And you're also pairing him with Xavier Worthy. And when you put those two together, that is a lethal 1-2 punch. Oh, yeah, you also have Hollywood Brown and Jalen Royals and, all those other wide receivers that can just help this offense get back to the elite level that it was at, a couple years ago.
Well, and I said in the intro to the video, we're going to talk Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver room. And the reason I say that instead of just saying Rashee Rice is because this is a wide receiver room that's essentially adding Rashee Rice, and they didn't have him last year. You look at what they added in the offseason, bringing back Hollywood Brown and then drafting Jalen Royals, a player that I think a lot of us consider to be maybe the steal of the draft for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then you have Xavier Worthy, who's coming off a really good rookie season. And now you add in Rashee Rice. I think the ceiling for this wide receiver room is super, super high. Getting a healthy Rashee Rice back is just going to make this thing really dangerous. I think we could see maybe the most fun passing offense we've seen from the Kansas City Chiefs since that 2019 season in which they won the Super Bowl. I just think the talent in this wide receiver room is immense. But Rashee Rice is obviously a key cog in all of that. And I think it is a good thing as well that the Chiefs brought in Jalen Royals, brought back Hollywood Brown, returned a familiar face in Juju Smith-Schuster so that Rashee Rice isn't, having all this pressure on him to come back and perform the way he did right out the gate, in the beginning of this season. I think, he's going to be eased in a little bit. It's going to be a good, safe situation for him. But once he gets going, man, and once we see that Rashee Rice that we saw at the beginning of last year, it's going to be a lot of fun. Because like you said, he was on track to have an amazing season. I mean, he was automatic over in the middle of the field. The slant routes were beautiful. He was great after the catch. And you're going to need a guy that kind of gives you that yak production with Travis Kelce now slowing down in the twilight of his career.
When Josh, maybe this is a little bit premature, we might have a conversation about who's the better wide receiver out of Rashee Rice and Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. By the end of the season, Josh, those two might be neck and neck, but there's also a chance that Xavier Worthy takes that next step and it's like, whoa, that deep ball's back.
And Xavier Worthy is going to benefit greatly from having Rashee Rice back in the lineup and taking up all that attention over the middle. But I'm glad you bring up this point, Michael, because I have a question to ask you. But before we do that, guys, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors on this channel. Penalty Verdict, they're coming out with a new app for next football season. It's going to be super exciting. Let's check it out.
Whether you're sick of seeing your team constantly get screwed over by the refs, tired of hearing about how your team only wins because of the refs, or simply just desire fair play and accountability, then Penalty Verdict is the perfect app for you. Penalty Verdict is a new app that allows football fans to vote on penalty calls in real time on both NFL and college football games. With Penalty Verdict, you'll be able to engage with a community of football fans who desire accuracy and transparency in officiating. And not only does Penalty Verdict allow you to vote on and discuss penalties in real time, but you'll also have access to data and statistics on specific referees. And you can even see what your favorite team's win-loss record is with that referee heading the crew. You can use this information to make educated guesses on who's going to win each game, and earn even more XP, which can be used to place wagers and climb up leaderboards on Penalty Verdict. Unlock the next dimension of sports by engaging with real-time polling of referees, players, and teams. And lastly, view data-driven insights to have informed discussions about the games. While Penalty Verdict is still in the development phase, we would love to hear your guys' feedback on what features you want to see in the app for next football season. Invite your friends to join and share Penalty Verdict today, and follow Penalty Verdict on social media.
So yeah, guys, that is Penalty Verdict. The link is going to be down in the description below to join the wait list for that app for next season. I'm going to be on there. I want to see you guys on there as well. So be sure to hit that link and be on there next season. Make sure you leave suggestions for features you want to see on the app. Now back to the video topic, Michael. Rashee Rice, I said I had a question for you right before that ad break. I do think it's going to be an exciting season for both Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. And one, you could argue either way who's going to have the better season. But my question for you is, what is your stat line prediction for Rashee Rice in 2025, receptions, yards, and touchdowns coming off that injury?
Ooh. I think we also have to look at this through the lens of Travis Kelce's not going to get 95 receptions. No. I'd be kind of surprised if that's the case.
If he does, something went terribly wrong with the wide receiver room again.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say Rashee Rice catches 97 passes.
Wow, really?
I think he's going to go 97 passes. I think he might go for 11 or 1,200 yards. I mean, you just have to look at it. What he did last year before getting injured,
that's true.
He would have easily cracked 1,000 yards. And I think that, he's got all of the talent in the world. The offense is coming off of a really mediocre season. I think they want to go out this year, Josh, and really kind of put, their foot on the gas and just show teams like, hey, we can actually score.
So I was looking it up actually while you were talking, because you said you predict him to have about 97 receptions. So before he got hurt last year, through those first 4 games, he had 24 receptions, which would have put him on pace for a 96 catch season. So that prediction isn't unfeasible at all. I definitely think he could get that. And I remember writing an article about how he was kind of taking over as that first option in the offense instead of Travis Kelce, because he was out producing Travis Kelce. He was getting the majority of the targets before that injury, and then Travis Kelce had to become heavily involved in the offense again following that injury. But it was clear that Rashee Rice was kind of taking that torch. I would say that Travis Kelce was, passing the torch, but I think more than that, Rashee Rice was ripping the torch out of Travis Kelce's hands with the numbers that he was putting up.
Josh, I just kind of had an aha moment, and I think that I'm going to actually tailor my expectations a little bit. I got a little excited. I'm going to say he might be in the 60 to 70 catches. Would not be surprised if he gets to 80. The only reason that I say that, he could get suspended for 4 games.
Sure.
We don't know what the suspension's going to look like. And I guess in a perfect world, he doesn't get suspended. But, I mean, that might be a topic for another video.
I don't think the yardage totals, even though still, are outlandish for him.
No, not at all.
No, he could definitely hit that. Yeah, I think it also
1,000 yards is the floor. I think we should be pretty confident.
Yes, for sure. I think I agree with that. It's also just going to depend on, how the usage is with the other wide receivers, because we didn't really get Hollywood Brown last year. This time you'll have him ideally. And then Jalen Royals, who I think is obviously going to be in that rotation as a rookie. But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there, guys. But we definitely want to hear from you down in the comments what your expectations are for Rashee Rice in 2025 coming off of that injury. But that's all we got for this one. So all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. You can check out my work on showmefootball.com. Follow me on Twitter at showmefb. And then before we sign off, Michael, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at KC Sports Report. And that's about it.
So there you guys have it. And that will all be in the description as always. That's all we got for this one. We'll see you all in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs.